Hello, I'm Tim Deese. Thank you very much for taking the time to look at Storybook Pre-Owned Brand. What is Storybook? What's the purpose behind Storybook? As most of you are aware, I have been in the market for many years training pre-owned managers and new car dealers around the globe. When I look at a dealership and look at the problems they're primarily having, it seems to always come down to my used car department is upside down in trade-ins. I've got too much water. We're not selling used. They're backing up water, constantly a problem. And the more that this was analyzed, the more I looked at what is market potential for trade-ins. If we are forced as new car dealers, which we are, to take trade-ins selling a new vehicle or a certified vehicle. Remember, new or certified through this whole DVD. If we are forced to take a trade on those vehicles to do business, we have to invest our operating capital in that vehicle to do so. Now, in the event that this all transpires in the sale of this new or certified car, when this vehicle comes to us, what is generally the opinion of that vehicle? The used car manager prays he can get out of it. The new car manager talked him into stretching on this car. It winds up going into service with additional dollars being spent on it. It winds up going to the pre-owned department where nobody really knows it's there but one or two of the salespeople. And maybe, if it's a real diamond, it'll get sold. If not, it becomes one of those 50% that age on us. It's not that the pre-owned department loses so much on trades. It's that the ones that age and become old cost so much to hold in inventory. The daily holding costs, the low gross on an old pre-owned vehicle being sold, deter the true picture of the marketability of that vehicle. So why is Storybook coming into play? It still relates to trade-ins. Well, let me explain what trade-ins are. Trade-ins are the most sought-after vehicle in every market across this country. Storybook is a brand. There will be 4 times more current to 6-year-old pre-owned trade-in type vehicles sold in your market every single month than there will be new. But we don't get that. We're not getting that customer. Why? Because our used car advertising says, push, pull, or drag, $1,000. Well, what are they going to drag in there? $99 a month. Well, what do you think they can buy for $99 a month? Where is that buyer going to purchase those vehicles? So this came into play. Now let's look at the true market, not a possibility of a market, not a phantom wish of a market, not something that we hope might happen, but what's actually happening today in your city where you are a new car dealer trying to conduct business profitably. This is a pie, and every used vehicle in it, current to 6-year-old, that will be sold in your market this month. There will be 4 times more vehicles sold from this pie than new in your market. 4 times more. Current to 6, pre-owned vehicle. 50% are going to be an individual selling their vehicle to another individual, current to 6-year-old. 50%. 60+% of those people purchased a vehicle from a new car dealer or an independent. They were told, you're upside down, you can't trade, given too little for their car. They knew they could sell it on their own, so they did. These individuals are the #1 pre-owned sales force in North America in current to 6-year-old used. The bottom half of this pie is divided up between you, every other new car dealer, and every independent in your trade area. The independent, the majority of the time, does a better job than the new car dealers, and he is selling the vehicles that you sold him, and his #1 greatest selling tool is that it was a new car vehicle. It was sold by a new car dealership and traded back in. It was properly serviced and maintained, and that is the independent's #1 selling tool. How do I know that? Because I started selling on an independent lot 40 years ago. Where is the credit cream in this pie? Is the good credit down here? No. The good credit is up here. There are no get-me-dones in the top half. There's no buy here, pay here office for individual to individual. These individuals sell their vehicle for $1,800 more than the average dealer sells the identical same car for. Why is that? Why is that? How much time do they have to sell their car? 30 days, because that's when the next payment is due. How do they do that? It's simple. In 1987, at NADA, it was one of those times when those golden words roll off your tongue that you totally were not in expectation of it happening. And we've all had those moments where our mouth was a lot more brilliant than our brain. And from somewhere, this came and has followed me my entire career. Every pre-owned car has a story, but if you can't tell it, you can't sell it. These individuals tell a story. When they get their car ready to go, they put a for sale sign in it, and they put a little sheet in there showing how long they've had it, where they bought it, everything they've done to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when they meet with the customer, they go into detail about the product. They do a knowledgeable, enthusiastic product presentation. That's how they get $1,800 a copy more than a new car dealer does. So what is Storybook? Storybook is a franchise that has a larger opportunity than any new car manufacturer in our country. And I am going to give you the opportunity to have that brand. But there's certain things you're going to have to do. Now, Storybook has to have a product. So Storybook can only be a trade-in. Storybook cannot be a purchased car. Storybook cannot be a certified car. Storybook can't be a vehicle that you swapped out. Storybook and its inventory start on the new car floor. Storybook is designed not only to create profitability and increase volume in pre-owned department, but to improve new car volume. When you are working a new car deal, the majority of the time that you're working at the trade-in that you're working that deal on is not your own make. We are relying on an outside wholesaler. There's a lot of different things we're trying to do. But by far, the majority are not your own make. The reason you have a pre-owned department is to have money available to invest in that consumer's trade to enable them to make a new or pre-owned or certified purchase. Now, once we get loaded in old, overage cars, we become very conservative. So we want to change this entire procedure. Now, when you have a customer with an off-make trade or your own, and they love the vehicle they want to buy, and the salesman comes in and they start the deal. Salesman comes back in with, we can trade today for $18,273. And the customer sees his trade allowance and goes through the roof. Now at that point in time, this is crucial, because if we are in the stagnant old west of saying, let me go get my manager and see if he can help us here, America's public is fed up with and knowledgeable of that game. If we did not know that, I would not be standing here doing Storybook with you today. We know from the public that they are tired of that. One of the things that they dislike worse of buying a new car is not being told the truth up front of what they trade for. They don't like the back and forth game. You may like it, they don't. Now, let's change that picture. A salesman comes in and says, we can trade for $18,150. And they go, no, I'm not taking that for my car. He said, there is a possibility that they may want this car for Storybook. Let me get the manager in to talk with you about this car being a Storybook vehicle. If we can make that happen, we can get you where you want to go. The manager simply comes in and goes, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, as you know, we all pay the same thing for a Toyota, Honda, Chevrolet, Ford, whatever it may be. New. Every dealer pays the same thing. The difference in us being able to make this deal happen is what your current vehicle is worth. I need your help to get you where you want to go. We have a Storybook pre-owned department. As silly as it may sound, it's called Storyland, because we know you can't sell a pre-owned vehicle if you don't have a history. Now, what I need you to do for me is we have a customer trade-in evaluation form. It's real simple. It's just where you bought it new, what you use it for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so that we can relay this message on when we pedigree this vehicle. Because in the window, it's not going to have your name. It'll just have in the window my pedigree is. I was bought new at XYZ Ford. I was driven for 3 years by my family of 4. We enjoyed soccer games. We enjoyed going on vacation in the mountains. I had a wonderful time with my previous family. I look forward to serving yours, and all my books and records are with my folder in the office. Now, what this does for us is we don't want to sell a pre-owned car that we can't fully remove the roadblocks to our next customer. The next thing I'm going to need you to do, which doesn't happen often, because once we've gone through this, it puts them at ease knowing that we've laid everything out we can, including the Carfax, including the reconditioning, that we ask them, would you like for me to call the previous owner for you and get them on the phone while you're here? You're ready to buy that little car, I'll call them. If you're not ready, I'm not going to bother them. Now let's take the customer on this side of the fence. It gives him an opportunity to justify to you why you should stretch. It builds credibility in this whole deal. We take a Storybook car in. This is not about big expensive warranties. This is not big expensive fees to us for being a Storybook dealer. You're going to see in a minute just how big Storybook really is. Now, we take this trade-in in. We have a sales procedure that we used that we will be teaching the individuals in your store. Remember, I said we're going to brand a new franchise. That means that you have to have a way to set up a lot. You have to have a way to train a manager in his accountability of his job. You also have to have a sales pattern for your sales forces, not a sales system, a sales pattern of professional product knowledge training, just like your factory. we are supplying this to our storybook dealers. We know that ongoing training, ongoing used vehicle management programs to compete within their region and nationally for pre-owned management storybook awards, salespeople having awards for the majority of trade-ins sold, storybooks sold, and their percentage of increase in new as a result of that. Everything is turned to profitability and professionalism. You have a mission statement in your dealership. If you go read that mission statement, it has all the right verbiage in it. All the things you are going to do as professional individuals within your dealership, all your people that sign that mission statement. But all that seems to fall by the wayside when we get to that pre-owned department. You know it and we know it. So the mission statement is good for some and bad for others. That's your call. You know your store better than me. But Storybook takes that pre-owned department and in the marketplace has a name. We develop ads monthly for our storybook dealers, radio, TV, print, et cetera, et cetera. They air nationwide. Nope, this is not something that's a nationwide program that you're not in. Every market, every dime in every market goes under your umbrella. You're in the spot. You are the storybook dealer there. But when these ads run, they are a justification of why to buy a pre-owned vehicle, because there is no mystery. We all have a history. Our pedigree is in the window of every storybook car at XYZ Chevrolet. You know we've been selling Chevrolets for 30 years. What you might not know is that we trade some of the finest non-Chevrolets in this market. The best of the best are kept for storybook. The pedigree is in the window. Where it was sold new, everything that's been done to it, a Carfax. And yes, before you buy a storybook, if you'd like to talk to the previous owner, we want you to. Now stop and think about this. Across the USA, we currently have in our own dealer bank enough to hit pretty much all the states, but that's not enough. If you take the U.S. and you connect the dots to the metro, sub-metro markets, and you have the advertising buying power of 500 million to 100 million, 500 million to 600 million a month to go to the networks, can you imagine when the money is spent in your market, what kind of coverage and buys we can make? We will be spending a budget if we make Storybook what Storybook is designed to be, bigger than all dollars spent by every manufacturer on every certified program in this country. It has a 4 times greater market. It is 100% professional. It puts your dealership in your market because only a certain dealer is going to get Storybook. Depending on the size of the market will dictate the dealer. Progressive Basics dealers have got first option. But the CSI has got to be there, and the main thing is you got to have a market presence. We deal with a lot of second and third generation dealers. We know that these dealerships have been there for years. This is a profit center to uncover, unlike any other opportunity we have ever seen. You have the name and the reputation in that market, even if you're the first owner of that franchise, and you've been there 15 years or more. If you have not had that franchise 15 years, we are not going to bring a Storybook dealer on board. We want the attitude in the market to be one of the dealer has the credentials, and now so do his vehicle. Storybook. Think about it. There is no mystery. We all have a history. And if you can tell it, believe me, you can sell it. They do.